Hello and welcome. I'm Darren, and today is a good day because today is upgrade day. So, if you've seen the thumbnail, today is the day that I upgrade the sim rig, and I've been looking forward to this. Not so much. I have no problem with the with what I was using. So, if you've seen my previous video, I did a kind of I'm not going to say it was a review. It's not something that I'm going to do because I don't have other products to compare it to. So I don't think it's fair. I don't think unless you have a good variety of products to compare something to, I personally don't think you can do a review. Now, what you can do is give your thoughts on the product that you've used and what you're happy with and what you're not. And that is basically what I'm doing. So if you'd watched my video that I did about the Moza R5 bundle, I put up, obviously I have been using that for the last, I believe it's at least a year. It might not even be quite a year, but I'm sure it's at least a year or over, and it's been great. Now, I'm not saying there haven't been a few bumps in the road, but as far as it goes, not within the actual product itself, probably more to do with game implementation. So Moza is obviously still a relatively new company. It doesn't get adopted into new games at the rate of like a Fanatec would, or a Logitech, or maybe even a Thrustmaster. You're talking like obviously companies that have been around for years. They're always going to be kind of your front three that are going to be added into games for compatibility. Now, that doesn't mean there's not ways that you can make it work. It just means you don't have a click on it, straight away preset, off you go. Basically, you're probably going to have to map your inputs in individually. Now, if you play a ton of games, that can probably be a bit of a chore. If it's only the odd game here or there, it's probably not that much of a big deal. It can be a little bit frustrating, I'm not going to lie. Probably my biggest frustration was Forza Motorsport. That did my head in. And probably because a lot of that was down to the game itself, on the fact that it refused to save settings. And that, at the time, like I was done with it. I could not go through having to keep re-putting in settings. It drove me insane. The annoying thing was they had the presets there. Now, they didn't have the preset in Forza at the time. I don't think in the drop down menu they had for the R5, but they did have for the R9, maybe the R9 and up. So I don't see a reason why I couldn't just use the R9 preset. I know obviously it was an R5, and it would just hold that preset. It would literally just clear to nothing. So that drove me insane. Now, I think the last time I tried that game, it still doesn't have the option for the R5. You still have to manually put it in, but now it keeps the settings. So I think that was more of a issue with the game, but I'm pretty sure probably the people that were on your likes of your Fanatec and your Logitech that probably had it programmed to the preset didn't have that problem. So that's kind of, I think as far as it goes, that was my only issue with the R5. Now, for a while I've been undecided, and this would be the only reason. I was undecided if I wanted to stay with Moza, and the reason was the compatibility. It was obvious that Fanatec, I think Fanatec became my real option. So Logitech, effectively, as it goes, you have the, is it the Logitech G, is it a G Pro, the steering wheel, like the £1,000 plus one, I believe. So the direct drive. Now, the options within that ecosystem are pretty much zero. So that, even though I use a Logitech G Pro wireless mouse and a Logitech G Pro 2 wireless headset. So I do use Logitech stuff. Whether I'm going to continue, I don't know. I have no issue with Logitech, but as far as it goes, I think, the option at the time, I'm pretty sure even at the time of me filming this, is you have your direct drive base unit and wheel, which is just a round steering wheel, and your pedal set that comes with it. I don't believe they've made any type of shifter add-on. There's no different types of wheels that you can use. I race predominantly, or sim race predominantly, on GT3. So round steering wheel, yeah. I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm not saying people don't use that, but there's just not a great deal of options there. Now, Thrustmaster obviously do have some of the new direct drive stuff out. Again, it's not the hugest ecosystem. I kind of, style-wise, I'm not overly keen on some of the Thrustmaster stuff, but I'm not saying it wasn't an option, but realistically, Fanatec, out of those options, Fanatec was probably the only option for me. And with the way that Fanatec is, I did look at buying Fanatec before I bought the Moza R5, and just going through their website and trying to order, the fact that you can order from obviously any type of third-party store or anything like that, you drove me insane. And I thought, you know what, I don't like the idea of this. I'm not sure what type of backup I'm going to get, what type of warranty if things start going wrong. Is this going to turn into a nightmare, if you know what I mean? I am in the UK. Now, in America, maybe you don't have these same concerns. But certainly for me in the UK, there was too many things that made me think this could turn into a nightmare. And since then, I believe I've seen a lot of nightmare when it comes to Fanatec. So those were kind of my options before the R5. I decided to go with the R5. I knew Moza was new brand. The R5 had just released, so I kind of expected that it might not be smooth sailing. But effectively, other than the game compatibility, I had no problems. Now, since then, I've always kept an eye on the new products coming out. So you've had the likes of Acertech launch stuff. There's been a lot going on, obviously, within sim racing, new brands, updates to stuff. Obviously, all the stuff that's gone on with Fanatec, I don't even know, is it Corsair that own Fanatec now, or did that even go through? I have no idea. So there's been a lot of change and a lot of stuff going on. Now, I kind of thought with the R5, do I want to stick with the Moza ecosystem? Obviously, I have the direct drive wheelbase, wheel, and pedal set. So it did give me the option to upgrade bit by bit and still be compatible using the other stuff. So if I wanted to, for instance, get the new wheelbase, I could still use my existing pedals and steering wheel with it, and so on and so forth. So I was still undecided, and to be fair, the thing that made me decide was seeing the new CRP. Is it the CRP pedals? Is it CRP? The new pedals, basically. They've just obviously announced the new pedal set, and I kind of watched a couple of reviews in the last couple of weeks. They look decent. I'm not going to say that they're the best pedal set around. They're nowhere near the most expensive pedal sets. I'm not going to expect that. But Moza, I like the styling of Moza. I like the variety of Moza. It seems to me their stuff is decent. It's not the best, but it's not the most expensive. To me, it's all affordable. It's all within reach. So, there's obviously like the handbrake, the sequential shifter, the H pattern shifter. They just have kind of the variety of products that I like. I like their steering wheels, the options that they have within the steering wheels. I'd probably like to see a nicer D-shaped wheel, maybe. And probably, what I will show you in a bit, I'd probably like to see more like a dedicated rally wheel as well, because I probably will go full hog on Moza from this point on, unless something drastic happens. They do obviously the truck wheel. They're the only people with the truck wheel at the moment, I believe, and I am tempted to get that. I will probably get that in the future. I'd like to try some of the truck games out. And I've seen that they are doing a upcoming wheel release, which is in obviously like a partnership with Porsche. So that's quite a big thing, and that makes me think that they're not going away anytime soon. And hopefully they're going to stay competitive. So it doesn't have to be the best. I'm not the target audience for the best. I'm not going to spend. I enjoy sim racing, but I am not going to spend. I'm not going to be spending £1,500 on a steering wheel. That isn't. I'm not that target audience. I'm not going to be spending £1,500 on a direct drive wheelbase, and I'm not going to be spending £2,000 on a active pedal. So they are within kind of the price that I want to pay. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather pay cheaper, but I am willing to pay up to the prices of the products like I bought today. So we'll start with the first one. And now this isn't something that I particularly needed to upgrade to, because I wasn't actually using the steering wheel that came with the Moza R5. I have used it, and every now and then I was using it, mainly for if I wanted to play a rally style game or something like that. But I did upgrade to the KS wheel. Let me grab that, which I do believe I showed in the last video. So this was my kind of first upgrade on the R5 platform. So KS steering wheel. Now, effectively, as far as steering wheels go on the market for upgrading steering wheels, this is relatively cheap. I'll check the price in a minute. I think it's about 275 if I'm right. Obviously, it does come with the awesome quick release that you get on the Moza. It does only have like aluminium shifters and clutch levers. They are a little bit low. They're not bad. And obviously you can see it's not a proper carbon fiber wheel. It's obviously like a composite with a carbon fiber pattern. So whilst it is a quality upgrade to kind of the standard wheel that comes with the Moza R5, if you're wanting to do type of GT3 racing like I am, mainly on like, my main game is Assetto Corsa Competizione. So it's a decent wheel, and I've enjoyed using it. It is a little bit, like I said, it's obviously like a screw together. It is a bit hollow. It's lightweight, but it's good for the money. I don't know. I think SimMagic have brought out the Neo, and that does look that's beaten this on price. It wasn't around when I bought this. If that was around when I bought this, I could have been tempted to go SimMagic. I think SimMagic were probably the brand, because they're probably closest to Moza on price, and they do have a similar type ecosystem. So they do have the shifters, the handbrakes, and all that sort of stuff. They do look a little bit more professional in the appearance of their stuff. I don't know if professional's the right word. I'd probably say if it makes sense, it looks more kind of, I don't think industrial. I'm not even sure what the best word to use for it is. It probably does look more like stuff that you would expect to find in a race car, if that makes sense. The styling of it. Moza stuff probably does look a bit more sim, so maybe a little bit more gamer. I don't mind that. I don't mind the look on either. I mean, the only thing that I would say is with the Sim Magic, everything is, there's a lot of red, a lot of anodized red. If you're not really keen on having red everywhere, then it might be a little bit of a put off. It's not really a, it kind of put me off a little bit if they kind of cut down on the red anodized everything. But it's just one of those things. So that's what I was using. Now, I did also use the standard wheel that came with the R5. I did steal the quick release off, which is why I'm not going to show you the R5 wheel now, because it's in pieces. I did steal because I couldn't find any of these in stock at the time. And I wanted to try out a rally wheel. So this is a, it says OCC Motorsport on the thing. It was off Amazon. It was like a £60 kind of dished rally steering wheel. It's relatively cheap, but it will do the job. It's solid. Now, this didn't fit, so I did have to buy an adapter to make it fit, because unfortunately the stud pattern didn't line up with the stud pattern on the quick release. So if anyone's interested in that, I can give you a link in the description, because I wasn't aware that was going to happen. So when the steering wheel came down and I went to fit it, I was like, oh shit, right, okay, I've got a problem. But I managed to make that work. But anyway, we're not here for either of those. We are here for this. So this is the Moza GS V2P steering wheel. So it's the version 2. P, I'm going to assume, is for perforated leather, maybe. It's gone incredibly dark. So I'm not doing an unboxing because it's already out of the box, because I wanted to check it. It arrived today. Now in the box we get obviously like a guide, a Allen key, which I assume is for, I don't even know, to be honest, something on the front plate that might need removing. I never use the Allen keys that come with it. They're generally quite cheap. We get stickers to change stickers if we need to. I'm not going to. And then with all the Moza wheels, you get a kind of bag to keep them in, which is kind of quite cool, just like a tie-up bag. And then we have the steering wheel itself. So as you can see, now this is a lot more premium. I like it. So this is like a kind of, is it like a on-directional carbon fiber they call it? So you can kind of see, like I said, it's like a leather perforated. Sorry, I don't have auto zoom on because this camera goes crazy when auto zooms on. So there's like a perforated grip. And yeah, so with this we have the same awesome quick release. We now have carbon shifters that sound a lot, well, they feel a lot smoother, sound a fair bit quieter. I don't know if that will come across that way to you. Obviously we have the clutch levers that I never use anyway. And yeah, now price wise, sorry, I'm trying to find a best way for this to show up in the light. Here we go. God, it's hard trying to figure out which way to go on a camera. There. So, awesome looking steering wheel. Same size as the KS steering wheel, a lot weightier. The buttons are a softer feel on this one, not like the KS ones. Now the KS ones are like a hard click, and Admittedly, they're not something that I use that much. I don't know what I'd prefer. I think if I've got a headset on, you don't get the feeling. There's nothing here tactile enough to tell you that you've activated the switch. However, if you press it, it's not likely you're going to go wrong, because it's not like the activation is right at the bottom of the switch. Now, with the other buttons, they make a very tactile click. You know you've done it. So if you've got a headset on and you can't hear yourself pressing the buttons, it's going to be more obvious. You're going to be more confident that you've hit the button with the KS steering wheel. I'd imagine that that is the one thing that I would say. Other than that, these wheels, I mean, these feel a little bit more premium. The wheel itself is a lot more premium. Obviously, it is a proper carbon fiber. You can kind of see there where this is like a solid piece of, however thick that is, 8mm maybe, thick carbon fiber at the front, and then obviously a enclosed part on the back with a chunkier kind of back plate here than what the other one's got. So it's very solid. There's no kind of creaking or movement or anything. Awesome. Like, I'm pretty excited to use that. So that's kind of the first thing. Now, I wasn't going to buy a steering wheel, but I have a problem where in Guernsey, unfortunately, in having to order from the UK, I have to pay quite a lot on carriage on a package. So I kind of want to make my orders up as big as they are. The last thing I want to do is order something and then a week later order something again, because the shipping costs are that expensive. So I kind of almost force myself into thinking, should I buy something else just to make up for the shipping cost? And that's generally what I do. And that's where the steering wheel came from. So at the same time, I did kind of think that the KS steering wheel might feel a little bit lightweight on the new wheelbase. So with that said, we will move on to the next part, which is the wheelbase. So for the next part is, now this one took me a bit of a while to decide. Like I said, I was using the R5. The R5 was fantastic for basically giving me the chance to try out sim racing. As I said, I'm on a small island. There is nowhere that I can go to technically try anything out. I never had any type of experience, even at console level, on the kind of your your entry level belt driven Logitechs or anything like that. So I built the PC. I'd been running PCs for a while. I was looking at games that people were playing, checking out content on YouTube, and I'd seen kind of some of the stuff that was available for PC, and kind of decided that I actually wanted to use my PC. It was it's a powerful PC, and obviously sim racing would be something that I would probably be interested in. So rather than spending up to £1,500 on a direct drive wheelbase, a steering wheel, a pedal set, and not knowing if it was something that I was actually going to spend a lot of time on or even bother with, the R5 seemed perfect to me. At the price point, it was direct drive, it wasn't crazy money, and it wasn't crazy money to kind of lose or overspend if it was something that I was only going to either A, use occasionally, or B, had no interest in. I could probably sell it on, get a couple of £100 back for it, and I wouldn't have lost a huge amount of money. So that was my reasoning. It's been great. but I do want more power because I am enjoying sim racing and I wanted to take it to the next level. So I decided to stay on the Moza. I had toyed with SimMagic. Now I'm sure I've seen the reviews. SimMagic could well be the better product. But as far as it goes, I'm not sure by how much. I'm probably thinking by a small amount. And it's not something that I know. So it's not something that's going to hurt me, if that makes sense. Now, if I had tried both and I could actually physically see a difference for myself, then that might give me the reason to move on. But from, I'll watch like Boosted Media's content and a lot of other people like that. They will say, I think I've seen a few times that he'll say that he'll feel slightly more detail in something like the SimMagic. But I think he'll say himself, there's hardly anything in it. So for me, having decided that I was already on the Moza, I could stay with Moza. Obviously, this has kind of been the point, whereas I decided to stay on with Moza because of the new pedal set, and it's not available at the moment. So I'm able to buy this stuff at the moment and use my existing pedal set, all under one piece of software. I know I could use, obviously, other pedal sets, but I really can't. One thing I hate is, and it's why I'll use a Logitech mouse and headset, I don't like having hundreds of different software applications. I just want everything all under one roof. So those are all my reasons. They won't be the same for other people, but they're the reasons for me. So I decided to stay on it. Now, I'd kind of decided that going from the R5 to the R9 was probably going to be pointless. And I kind of wanted to make sure that I'd worked with the R5, I liked it, I'd made the decision. I don't want to repeat the decision again unless we are talking very far into the future, if there's some sort of like huge change. So I kind of wanted to go from starter to hopefully end game for me, because I enjoy sim racing and I will be doing it for, I might be spending a couple of hours a week. Sometimes I might spend up to like 10 or 12 hours a week, but sometimes I might not. I might start playing a different game and I might not do any sim racing for a good couple of weeks. So I'm not hugely in depth. Like I said, I don't need the best, or I don't need to actually get anywhere near the best. I just want good. And so the R9 seemed like a no. Now the R12 was compelling. And recently they did the new update for the R12, which is, from what I've seen on Boosted Media and a couple of other places, a bit of a game changer. It has helped the R12 because the reviews on the R12 were good, but they weren't great. So the one thing that was said quite a lot about the R12 was it doesn't feel like 12. Compared to other 12 Newton meter bases like the Fanatec and the SimMagic. They feel a lot more powerful. I think a lot of people said that the Moza felt more like 10. If the SimMagic and Fanatec were measured at 12, then the Moza would feel a bit more like 10. So that kind of left me thinking of, do I go with the R12 after the update, which does sound good? I kind of was toying between that and the 16. Now the 21 I discounted, as in I don't think I need it. And that's it. I kind of looked at it straight away. I don't need that much power. I'll live with it. So that led me to this, which is weighty. And it is the R16. So there we go. That's what we've gone with. I'm probably not going to be able to turn it in anyway because it weighs a ton. So obviously there's your connections at the back. This is the new version 2 Obviously, the version 1s had like a orange thing. Now this one does have screw holes in the front, so I can front mount it, and that was another thing. I don't have front mount at the moment, but in the future I was thinking about front mount. So with all that said and done, that's where we went. We've gone with the R16. This should be enough power for me, unless there's some kind of huge advancement, a new game-changing something that might come out. I know obviously Fanatec have just come out with their similar thing to like what Logitech have, like their feeling True Force. Is it True Force or something like that? I'm not overly bothered about that. So unless there's a new game-changing technology, I'm pretty sure that this should, for me, be endgame. 16 Newton meters. I doubt I'm going to be running it on the full 16 Newton meters. I'd seen, like I said, I looked at the R12, and a lot of people that were comparing the R12, saying that it was slightly down on power, were generally saying, and this is like the top sim racers, were generally saying they run around 12 Newton meters. So I think a lot of them were saying that the bases that felt like 12 were around about the top that they'd run anyway. So they were saying that those would be most for most people. Now, obviously, with the 12 feeling a little bit more like 10, I did think that I'd be kind of pissed if I bought the 12 and still decided it wasn't enough. So this was it. This was basically my choice. Just go to the 16, pay that little bit extra. I'm not sure how much it was. I can quick check. So in the UK, what do we have? The steering wheel, by the way, was $438. I don't pay VAT, so it's a bit cheaper to me than that. I think it was 300 and something by the time I bought it. Now the R16 is $798. Again, I didn't pay that. I think I paid $699 by the time I had tax removed. So not cheap. Now the R12 is on a really good deal at the moment, but it's sold out. And that's the other thing that I did notice in the last 6 weeks. Moza stuff has been going out of stock at quite a rapid rate. I've watched it get restocked and then go back out of stock within the next couple of days. So they've definitely, whatever Moza is doing, people are taking notice. Now, whether that's because Moza's in a position where it's kind of priced, it probably is. It's probably priced similar to a lot of Fanatec stuff. And with maybe the stuff that's going on at Fanatec, maybe people that would have gone probably straight to Fanatec, maybe those people might now be going for Moza instead. I don't know. The only thing is I keep an eye on Moza stuff quite regularly. I'm regularly shopping and looking at anything to do with PC stuff, tech stuff. And when I'm on like overclockers, I generally will quick type in Moza and see if they've got their new stuff, what stuff they do have. And I have noticed it never sold out. They generally always had most of the stuff in stock until the last 6 weeks, I'd say. Maybe 8 weeks. And I've noticed a lot of stuff will go out of stock, and then a few days later it will be restocked. And then it'll be back out of stock again. And I've noticed that because I was looking at the R12 once it had its price drop, because its price drop took it below 500. And I kind of nearly bought it, and then it went out of stock. And then it came back in stock. And I kind of nearly bought it again, and then it went back out of stock. And then at that point I thought, you know what, I'll just go with the 16. And the 16 went out of stock. And as soon as the 16 came back in stock again, I decided to just pull a trigger on it because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how long it was going to go back out of stock. Now, that's kind of made me think that the new pedals are probably going to be a nightmare to get hold of. So I am going to be stuck on my pedal set for a while, unfortunately. I'm not going to buy a different brand. I could do. I like the Moza software. I want to keep it all within the same software. So that's the R16 base. It comes with a power brick. And obviously the connections to it. Instructions, warranty stuff, I assume. Not that we really need those. There's a nuts and bolts, I assume, for fitment. Is that USB? Yeah, okay, so it's the... I can't even remember what that's called now. USB... the square type USB to the USB-A. And then obviously power lead. So, and it does come with a bag like the steering wheels do, like the little zip-up bag. Not that I'd want to keep it in it because this thing is heavy. So yeah, that's it. I can already tell actually just by turning it. Now, when you turn the shaft on the 5, you feel notches as it goes past the notches. This, I'm not going to say is 100% smooth. It's very hard to feel any. It's very close to. So I don't know how that is going to make much difference in turn, but we will see. So that's basically a quick look at the Moza R16. It is the V2. And the GS V2 steering wheel, I believe. Yeah, that's a quick look at them. And basically my thoughts on what they look like before I've tried using them, and my reason for going with them. So I'm going to end it there. I'm going to get these bolted onto the rig. I'm going to get everything swapped over. I'm going to get it up and running. And then we'll get into the software, and I'll probably do another video on the software, a little bit of setup, because that's the other thing. I do like the Moza software, and the other handy thing is you also have the Moza app for your phone. So you do have the option to change settings in-game on your mobile phone on the app, rather than having to constantly Windows out of the game and get into the software to make small changes. It can all be done on the mobile app, which is another really good thing. I do like that. But I'm probably going to end up having to do firmware updates. I'm probably going to have to adjust how this goes on the rig, because I'm probably going to end up having to move my screen, move my deck back and forwards to try and get this into the position it needs to be. So whether I get another video out today or not, I'm not sure. But anyway, there it is. That's my first look at the R16 and the GS steering wheel. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give me a like. I would appreciate it. If you want to see some of the content, maybe subscribe. And I will get up a video soon of me running this. But for now, I will catch you in the next one.